Yolanda and Cornelius Show, a Christian perspective on hot topics surrounding our community, with emphasis on personal and leadership development. This show is inspiring, informative, and entertaining. You never want to miss it. Now let's see what everyone is yakking about. The Yolanda and Cornelius Show. You may contact us through our website, www.trifoldoutreach.com, or by phone, 800-664-1793.
Good morning. Welcome to the Yak, the Yolanda and Cornelius Show. I am glad that you have joined us in this space. I welcome Apple, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeart, Pandora app, Amazon Audible, Google Podcasts, Podcast Addict, Castbox, Deezer, Podchaser, and the one in India. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and possibly good night to those who might be listening to the podcast. Of course, we come from Nashville, Tennessee. So it is Central Standard Time here in Nashville, and we have a marvelous show that we want to allow y'all to listen to and glean from, because this wonderful individual, Miss Aishah Bradley, was a blessing to us, and she was able to do some things in the kingdom of God and lawyer. So without further ado, if we were in church, I would say after the A and B selection, you will hear none other than Aishah Bradley. Hear ye her.
Well, good. First of all, quickly tell us, who is Aishah Bradley Veney? Because we don't know her.
Well, I am a wife. My husband and I have been married for 13 years. I am a mother. We have 7 children. Before we met and married, I had 2. I was a single mom and I had 2 children. And then we met and married and had 5. So we have from age 22, 20, 12, 10, 9, 7, and a 4-year-old. I decided to go back to law school. I had attended law school right out of college, and I had to take a leave of absence. I did well, but I still had to come out for other family reasons. And then married 6 kids later, and a husband. I said, hey, babe, I want to go back to school. And I entered into law school, and our sixth child was 2 weeks old. We relocated from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and went to Jacksonville, Florida. I was one of the older students there. I was 41, and I was in class with all the paraphernalia on. I enjoyed going to law school. People laughed at me, but I completed law school in 2.5 years instead of 3. I went straight through summers, graduated, and now I work for the Public Defender's Office in Philadelphia. I enjoy what I do. I also minister. I'm a bishop. I've been doing ministry for a long time now. My uncle and aunt, my uncle's a bishop in New Jersey, Pastor Odell Bradley Sr. My auntie is a pastor. They've been doing ministry for a while. I just love what I do. I love what I do. I love helping people and motivating people that no matter what your dream is, no matter what your goal is, no matter how old you are, how many kids you have, your education, lack thereof, finances, lack thereof, that if you have God before you, no one should be against you. Your biggest challenge is just how you perceive God in your life and how you see that God will work on your behalf. You just have to put your feet in front of the other by faith, and you will see all that God promised you come to pass. That's what I believe.
Listen. You got me when you talked about starting law school with a 2-month-old.
Yes. he was 2 weeks.
Girl, starting law school with a 2-month-old?
No, he was 2 weeks. It was.
Oh, two. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me even. Cause see, we Southerners.
Yeah.
We still under the 6 week rule. You
Yes.
understand the 6 week rule, don't you?
No.
I know you've been up in Philly for a while, but track your genealogy to the
Yes.
side.
Yes.
And you have a great auntie down here that said, "Girl, you're not supposed to even come out the house
No.
for 6 weeks." And here you are sitting up in law school.
Yes, my family. There's a whole bunch of Bradleys in Alcoa, Tennessee.
Here.
Yes. So a whole rack of them up there, down there, and then so my dad is from Tennessee. My mom is from Virginia. So yes. If it wasn't for my husband, he packed up his business. And he had the kids. He does construction. He has his own construction business. He's very successful in it. But he packed it up for 2.5 years. And I promised him that I would finish and we would move back to Philadelphia. And he did that for 6 months. He took care of our little baby and everyone else, made sure everything was done. And my job transferred down there, so I came off of maternity leave and went to work. So I left the house around 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. I attended class to almost 3:30, 4 o'clock. I came home, made dinner, got something to eat, and continued on to my part-time job. I had flashcards in my back pocket, and I returned home around 10:45. And my husband had the babies, and so we had like an interesting role reversal, if you will. And so the first time my husband was used to slinging concrete, building houses from the ground up, and he would always say, "You're not tired," like I'm tired. And for the first time after several weeks of everybody, he said, "You know what? This is a little different. I'm not as physically tired as I would have been with concrete and everything." He said it's more mental and emotional. So when I was coming, I'll say to him, being funny, "Give me a little time to relax." He was like, "Girl, please, and we're passing the baby."
You are humorous. You are humorous, and I'm glad that you have some humor with your story.
Yes.
People see you laughing and see your glee and your glow, but that's a struggle to get anything done with a family.
Yes.
And I see now that you made really your career a priority, as well as being a wife, as well as being a mother, as well as being a daughter, as well as being a sister. We're not even going to get into minister/bishop and all those things. I just want you to continue to tell me a little bit about the migration, you said, and how, what made you become a lawyer? Why law? Why not education with all those things?
Yes.
Why not social work? You said I want to be a lawyer. Why law?
Yes. Well, I come from, my mom is a lawyer. She does civil litigation. My dad primarily did criminal litigation. And so my dad was, he still is, he does more business stuff down there, more in retirement kind of. But my father was the first black student at Hamlin University in Minnesota. He graduated. He was their first black student to ever graduate in the 70s. My mom turned around later. I was in 8th grade. I was graduating 8th grade. And my mom graduated from law school the same week I graduated from 8th grade. And so to fast forward, my daughter graduated from high school this a week after, I believe, that I graduated from law school. So it's real funny how that happens. But my parents owned their own business, and I saw them build something. And they went after their dreams when it was not comfortable and it was not common. and they had a family. My mom has more degrees than a thermometer, and so does my dad, but my mom, she came from the South, so she was, they were handling clients, and she was still cooking and taking care of the house. That's what I saw. I did not see that I had to choose between education, my goals, and being a wife and a mother. I saw my mom be Superwoman, and my dad be a super dad. That's what I saw. And so I always wanted to be a lawyer. My dad would take me to court with him, and I would sit and watch him. Same with my mom. I always wanted to do that, but it came around later. What happened was I was doing sales. Like I said, my job transferred down. I'm very good at sales, and I was working for a cell phone company. In 1 week's time, I had my little burning bush moment.
All right, burning bush. Come on, burning bush.
Yes, so I was pregnant with my son, Joshua. He was the 6th child. And my in-laws, one who was, she is a principal, had her degrees. The other one was finishing college. She was going back to school. And they had a comment to my sister, why was I having so many kids? Now, my mom had 4 children. I come from a large family. My grandmother had a lot of kids. She was from the South. But that's what I always wanted. I wanted to be fruitful and multiply in every area of my life. I wanted God just to blow every area. And so that's what I believed in. That's what I stood in. And, I just come from women who had families and owned businesses and owned property. I just came from women who, that's what they did. That's what they did. That's what my family did. And so, so they said something, and I was like, okay. I had something at my job. My supervisors we were having everybody fly in from all over the country and have a celebratory thing. Who was top in sales and stuff like that, and I had to run the store that day. My boss was gone, and I had to run the store. The CEO, who's very personable, was on Twitter, and I said, hey, you're a superstar. I would love to get your autograph if you come past the store. I want somebody. He changed his meeting plans. Where's your store at? That's how he is. He's a really great guy. John Leisure. Awesome. He's very good at it. He switched his plans. It caused pandemonium. My district manager and assistant manager had just come to our store, checked our store, told us our store was wonderful. A firestorm hit. They turned around, came to our store, told me my store wasn't anything, that I was, who did I think I was to have him come? How did I break command? Mm-hmm. I said, this is not the first time he has responded on Twitter. Anybody knows him. He's on Clubhouse. The man is very personable. And I was like, this is not the first. He's on Twitter. He welcomes all of us on Twitter. You can talk directly to him. You don't have to go through the chain of command. He's right there. He commented. He liked my comment and he responded. And they went on and they kept talking to me. And it was just totally opposite what they had just said. And I was standing there. And one thing the gentleman said was, if you were pregnant in my store, I would not allow you to sit down. And, I know my rights. I grew up knowing my rights. But I never wanted to just, legal is not my issue. I'd rather show you than not better than I can tell you. And so I looked at him and I said nothing. But inside, I was like, when I come off maternity leave, I thought reaching sales goals was my dream. But since your leadership, and this is how you're speaking because someone wanted to give me an autograph, I said, I'm going back after my dream. The other thing, my kids, it was something very simple about socks. I'm a very clothing, fashion-oriented individual, period. I'm a fashion plate. But when I started to have more children, my focus was I should not look nice. My children should look nice, if that makes sense to you. And I never wanted to be a person with a whole bunch of kids and my children looking every kind of way. And so there was something I would do. I would buy socks for all of them, and I stopped buying things for myself. So I would buy everybody a pack of socks and just take one out of the two oldest and my husband, and they were laughing about it. The same day, this is the next day, all of these three things, my sister-in-law's talking, my job talking, and then those three talking. This happened next day. Oh, I said, you don't know what kind of sacrifices I made. And my kids and my husband, now mind you, we're a blended family. Mm-hmm. There is no wedge between my husband and the two oldest. You would have thought that's his directly.
Right,
now,
right.
Are laughing. All three of them are together laughing on the sidewalk. And they said, we don't ask you to make those sacrifices. My face went through like a metamorphosis. And before I opened up my mouth to scream and holler, I said, you're absolutely right. No one's asking me to step away from my goals. No one's asking me to become a non-fashion plate. Come on, somebody. No one was asking me to dummy down who I am just because I wanted a family and be successful. I didn't have to set my goals to the side just because I was older, and that I could go for it. And so I went on maternity leave, filled out my application, found out that there was a school that had emailed me 4 years before and requested me to come to school on a provisionary status. I emailed them. I spoke to the admissions person. It was a totally different person. She gave me partial scholarship, admitted me full time. I told her I had 6 kids.
Hello, we have to pay some bills. I do apologize for the break in the action, but this show is brought to you by, Walker's Cafe and Grill, 109 UN Drive from 12 to 5. This show is brought to you by the Ephesian Primitive Baptist Church, 1506 22nd Avenue, North Nashville, Tennessee, 37208. This show is brought to you by Forever Zion at www.foreverzion.com. Paparazzi Jewelry. Go to foreverzion.com. And this show is brought to you by Trifold Outreach Ministries, 49 Dry Creek Road, Goodlettsville, Tennessee, in the Nashville area that's meeting by Zoom on the 2nd and 4th Sunday.
She didn't know I had to still give birth to my son. I'm talking to admissions. I'm telling them that I want to go for August, but your LSAT score only lasts for a certain amount of time. I was at the last time. I had gotten tons and tons of denial letters. I had started ministry already. I was on stage at Praise Power the year that Juanita Bynum and Bishop Weeks got married, and they came back. The first ministry performance was at Bishop Weeks' event at the Marriott here in Philly. It's on tape. It was on TBN. I'm on stage doing drama and poetry. I come off the stage and she begins to close her eyes and ask people, if your ministry is going worldwide, come up. I had a check from performing and I had 3 pennies. I gave the 3 pennies in her hand. She didn't look at me. She was throwing it on the stage, if y'all are familiar with that. I kept walking. I had my 2 oldest. This is before I got married. And so I'm trying to apply back to law school, but it's not happening. And she says, who gave me 3 pennies? I'm not now embarrassed because the ministry call was for $1,000. Come on, somebody. I didn't care. I wasn't going to say nothing because I was just on stage. I had, quote unquote, almost arrived on somebody.
Let me ask you this. Let me stop you. Because myself like, oh my God, you listen. I'm still trying to figure out how you got from point A to point B back to point C. I'm trying. Hey, it was like, wait a minute, like, hold on, wait a minute. Wow. So, back up. Okay. You were connected to, some international ministries back then.
Yes.
Wow. What type of influences did those ministries have on your life?
Well, it at the time that the woman of God prophesied over my life, I thought I was about to get an acceptance into law school. God would.
Well, folks, hey, I gotta leave you on that cliffhanger. I know you're wanting more information. Stay tuned to next week, same time, same channel for more of this marvelous interview. Thank you for tuning in to the Yolanda and Cornelius show. Y'all, we're going to do this. We got more of this interview coming, and you need to hear this woman of God. She has a conference, coming up in the month of March in Philadelphia. And we will be giving you more information weekly. But stay tuned. And thank you for listening to the Yolanda and Cornelius show.